Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bleav in Iowa. I'm Brady Beaton. He's Logan Blackman. He's former Hawkeye Dominique Daphne. And we're going to go around the Big Ten in week two. And yeah, there's a lot of scraps and not a lot of interesting matchups for having like 17 non Iowa games to talk about. There's like three interesting ones. So we'll get Fridays out of the way. Western Illinois goes to Northwestern. Anyone have thoughts on Western Illinois and Northwestern?
Preston Stone, try not to be so bad as you were week one. If there were like four picks or something like that, and
Yep.
Northern Illinois they got a bulldog as their logo, dog water. Like, that's how they're a terrible football team. So this is a game for Northwestern to get back on track. But that's about it. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the most exciting thing I had was that they got chirped by the head coach of Tulane last week because
Well,
they
that
wouldn't let them wear
okay.
white.
That was kind of dumb because the reason why they wanted to wear white, it was like the 20th anniversary of the first game since Katrina or something
Yeah.
like that,
That's
and
what
they
they
wanted to
wore.
honor the city that got flooded and basically destroyed, and they said no. Yeah, that's not a good look. It's
It's
not a
not.
good look.
And then you get whooped. So, I mean, that's what I was saying. That's really the most exciting thing that was going on because, like you said, four INTs, you got whooped first game of the year. And then
That
the coach talked crazy about you at the end of the game. Like, that's what happens when you don't let us wear what we want to wear. Like, we're gonna beat you like that. So,
that
I
might
mean, hopefully
be
they can bounce back, but yeah,
that might
not that exciting.
be a bad omen for the year for Northwestern. Not that they need it. The other Friday night game is a little more interesting. Northern Illinois goes to Maryland. I mean, obviously, Northern Illinois last year went to South Bend and beat Notre Dame, but Northern Illinois, not a great MAC school right now, but I guess soon to be Mountain West, which now I hate them for ruining the MAC. But that one at least has the potential to keep your attention.
And Malik Washington, he looked pretty good in his first game. He's a true freshman for Maryland, so we'll see how he looks in week two. And yeah, it's Northern Illinois pulled off the upset last year. I have a hard time envisioning it again. But hey, crazier things have happened. Crazier things have happened. Maybe they do go to Maryland country and just beat the crap out of them. But I'm excited to see what Malik Washington does in this second week. So that's an intriguing one for me, anyways.
Yeah, and I feel like Maryland's this past couple seasons has had the stigma of just being so up and down that when you're in a team like NIU, is like, shoot, boys, let's go in there and swing for the fences. I mean, they're paying us to come out here, and we have nothing to lose, so we might as well, play our best, seize an opportunity, get a check, and potentially get a dub. So, I mean, that's really the mindset that a lot of these either lower mid-tier D1 or FCS schools are going to have is let's go get paid. Let's go have a all expense paid trip and also come back with a victory and spoil somebody's Saturday afternoon or Friday, excuse me, evening in this. So it's like
And then party
I feel like that's the
Saturday
only thing you
back
got to worry about.
in wherever Northern Illinois is.
You know, it is what it is. We can go out to Maryland, get us a couple, cold ones and have some fun. Win a game. Why not?
This, you guys know I love this. This is tied for the cheap ticket of the week. What do you think the get-in price is for Northern Illinois at Maryland? If you wanted to go out there, how much do you think you're paying to get in the door?
Northern Illinois
It's
at
tied for
Maryland.
the lowest in the Big Ten this week.
$7.
Ooh, just a bit over $6.
Mm,
$6, and you can watch
$6.
the Huskies and the Terrapins. All right, let's go to Saturday. Start with, I guess we'll just go chronologically, starting at noon. Obviously, Iowa State's big noon. Talk about that more later in the week. I do want to start with the most interesting matchup. It's a 2.5-point spread. Illinois goes down to Duke. Duke is kind of building themselves up as a program. Illinois has some lofty expectations. I've picked them as a playoff team. This could be a tricky spot for the Fighting Illini.
Yeah, and it's going to be what I'm always intrigued to see about, and I've kind of talked about this before, is those quarterback matchups. Darian Mensah, was it? We talked about Tulane before we started recording this, or we talked earlier even too about Northwestern, but Tulane's former quarterback Darian Mensah transferred up to Duke this offseason, replacing Malik Murphy, who went out to Oregon State this offseason. Like how he looks in this new offense with Manny Diaz as the head coach, they're a very defensive-minded team in Illinois. But Brett Bielema, Luke Altmaier, like they're one of, like you said, have a lot of preseason hype, and Duke at home could maybe cause a little bit of problems for them. But like if you're looking at the ESPN matchup thing, it's like 50-50 right now. Illinois is the favorite. It's like 50-50 right down the middle. So this will be a fun one. I think it's like two very like-minded head coaches and two quarterbacks that I think can make a lot of plays, both with their arms and their legs. They're not like elite athletes, but they can make you pay if you give them the space to.
I mean, yeah, he threw for what 389 and 3 touchdowns last week. So you have to assume that they're going to lean on his arm once again. You have another team who could put up points really fast in Illinois, and I know that their defense is something that they're going to lean on all year when it comes to conference play. But like you said, when you're at home and it's a close game like this, and you have a like-minded kind of a mirror match, I mean, you're going to take your shots. So I feel like this game is why it's going to be such a good game is that it is a mirror match. It is two teams that are, like you said, are like-minded, and I feel like Illinois, while they've been great, this is kind of one of those potential hiccup games where we don't play. This could be a closer game that we would like it to be. You know, you would still like to come out to Duke and handle your business so that you can go on to Big Ten conference play and kind of get back into that college football playoff mentality that they had last year, and not have any more hiccups or not really drop the ball like they did last year in a couple games where I felt like they could have really uh, ascended themselves into one of the top 12 teams in the country in the minds of the voters. So I feel like this game is going to be really good because, one, we're going to see hopefully a lot of points, and two, because it's going to be two like-minded coaches, two like-minded quarterbacks, two like-minded teams that are trying to get a victory early Saturday.
And if Illinois does want to be a playoff team, they bring back so much talent. This is a game you can't lose. This is a game that, if you want to be a big boy in the Big Ten, that all the other top dogs would go down to North Carolina and get the win. But that's the one in the early slate that's the most interesting. I mean, I don't think anyone's lining up for Florida International at Penn State. I mean, Penn State's favored by 42. Are you kidding me? Like, FIU did get a vote in the I think it was the AP poll. They got 1 point, so that they can say that they're kind of a ranked matchup. But the Panthers I don't think are gonna have a good time in Happy Valley.
Hey, Penn State was in the SEC. They would count that as a ranked game. So hey, might as well count it. Might as well count it here. Might as well count it here. Just don't. I just this control what you control. Don't do anything too crazy. Just handle your business. Don't play with your food, as Dom says. Like just go out there and handle business against them.
Yeah, I mean, they got 2 shape-up games before they play Oregon at home. So as you took the words right out of my mouth, they'll play with your food. Make your layups, all those things, and see how you can. This is one of those games where you just try to get better. How can we get better? How can we find some sort of momentum or some sort of reason to come out here and play football against a lesser opponent? That's really the thing is we're not going to go too crazy. We're going to stick to our bread and butter, but how can we find a way to get better this week?
All right, Dom, you mentioned before we recorded, you said you learned a lot more about Kennesaw State than you wanted to. They travel to Bloomington as probably the toughest non-conference game Curt Cignetti scheduled. Tell us about the Owls, Dom.
I know they lost last week to Wake Forest 10-9, which is disgusting. But the biggest weakness that they got is that their defense gave up like 218 yards passing last week, and you're playing Indiana, so that's not really the best thing to have happen when you're going to play Indiana. So I feel like again, this is another one of those games where, hey, let's see how we can get better. Let's see if we can continue that momentum in a Indiana team, which surprised a lot of people that they got into the college football playoff last year. But let's see how we can continue to get better and keep taking steps towards potentially getting into the college football playoff yet again.
Yeah, this team is they're FCS a couple years ago, and last season they had 0 wins. They somehow beat Liberty. So maybe don't sleep on the Owls. Don't sleep on the Owls. They'll be turning their heads at you all sorts of type of ways. And they played Wake Forest tough, like Dom said. So we'll see how they do. But Indiana, they kind of got punched in the mouth early against Old Dominion last week. They scored on their very first play from scrimmage. So it's how they can rally around that and not give up those big plays early. Because Kennesaw State was a former, I don't know if they still run it. Sorry, I haven't watched a lot of Kennesaw State games recently, but when they were the FCS, they ran a lot of triple option. Their quarterback, I think, is a former Indiana guy as well. So maybe he wants some upset brewing in there as well. So, hey, maybe the Owls got something for us. Maybe the Owls got something for us. So we'll have to wait and see.
Take Indiana minus 35.5. All right, final one that we're going to spend about 10 seconds on. Northwestern State at Minnesota. Yep, this game will happen, and it'll be on like BTN Channel 4. So it's going to be like whatever it is, 660-3 is where you're going to have to find this game if you're a sicko to watch it.
I'm still mad at
All right,
Northwestern.
good. Yep, that's about all we need.
Beater.
That one.
I'm still mad at them for that buzzer beater shot they made against Iowa in the tournament like 20 years ago. So I will never root for Minnesota, but it's going to be if they had like a Bain situation and the stadium imploded, I wouldn't be too mad about that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. Yep. We're going to the 3:30
Let's
slate.
move on.
Ohio State seemingly plays every game at noon. How is it that the Grambling State game is one of their 3:30 starts and this is not a noon game? Yeah, Ohio State's going to beat Grambling. The question is it going to be by 50 or is it going to be by 60?
Well, I mean, Grandview's coming, or Grandview.
Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
Ohio State can play Grandview. Might as well
I
draft those
mean,
guys.
probably be just as good a game. Let's be honest.
But Gramblich's coming off a massive 55-7 win over Langston. So, I mean, it makes sense to like get them a little bit more prime time schedule.
Dom, what state is Langston in?
Langston. I don't know.
Exactly.
Michigan.
I know it's not Michigan.
They don't have any pictures on ESPN, but hey, they're a powerhouse. I've never heard them before, but I'm sure they're a powerhouse. That's why they played Ohio. That's why they're playing Ohio State at 2:30 or 3:30 Eastern time. But yeah, it's gonna be it's good. Julian Sane can let it rip a little bit and won this one.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Langston is in, where is this? Oklahoma.
Could have given me 100 guesses. I don't know if I would.
Yeah, nope.
I don't know if I would. Yeah.
They're an
Don't know if I would've got that one.
HBCU in Oklahoma. So there you go.
Yeah. I've definitely heard of it, but when you ask me where it is, I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, I feel like this is going to be a bloodbath, but it's also a chance for the offense of Ohio State to try to gain some momentum. Obviously, it wasn't pretty game. They came away with a win against Texas, but you got the number 1 seed. You're gonna have a little bit of a cakewalk in this one. So shoot, let's get the fireworks guy, pushing that button a little bit upstairs and have him have some fun too.
So this other game at 3:30 is a game that if you looked at the logos, you go, ooh, this is an interesting game. But Oklahoma State going to Eugene has the potential to be a Dominique Daphne BTA game because Oklahoma State isn't very good. Maybe Mike Gundy's getting a little long in the tooth for the Cowboys, and Oregon is rocking and rolling. I think Oklahoma State is going to be it's going to be a long road trip to and from Eugene this weekend.
Yeah, Dante Moore had a good opening day last weekend. It was his first start since he played at UCLA a couple years ago, so it was good to see him get out there and rip it a little bit. But yeah, Oklahoma State's not going to be as bad as we were last year. I mean, they went 0-9 conference play. They went 9 overall. Like, I don't think they'll be that bad again, but yeah, it's not. Oregon's not going to. I wouldn't imagine anyways. Oregon's going to struggle too much in this one.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you come out and start fast, I feel like the only way that you could lose this game is if you beat yourself. I feel like that's kind of the message of week 2 is let's not shoot ourselves in the foot and let's go out here and get these early games out the way, get some barbecue in by 6:37 and let's call it a day and move on to week 3 or whoever our opponent is next week. So yeah, that's kind of the message I've been receiving.
Last 2 midday games start with Miami, Ohio going to Rutgers. And our favorite Greek man at quarterback.
The boy, Ethan, a Mr. Kaliak Manis back. Another year as a starter. No Kyle Manung guy, though. And Miami played Wisconsin pretty tough last week. And Daquan Finn, transferred to Baylor last year. He's a former Toledo guy. He was really good for Toledo a couple years ago, and then got hurt last year, lost the job to Sawyer Robertson. Now he's back in the MAC. So Miami's they are a good football team. And Rutgers, even though the boys at quarterback, maybe Miami's got a little bit something special brewing for them, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I can't root against Mr. Kaliakmanis, so it's going to be it could be an interesting look. Miami's a good team. They are a decent team. So hey, maybe something crazy happens, but I mean,
only a 16-point spread.
Ethan Kaliakmanis will probably go 15 of 33 for like 160 yards with a touchdown and 3 picks. But hey,
and we'll still love him for it.
Exactly, we love him for that.
Hey, it wasn't your fault. The receiver should have caught the ball.
Exactly.
It is what it is. But yeah, like you said, I mean, Miami put up a great fight against Wisconsin. Their defense played as well as they could. I mean, when your offense puts up 0 points and doesn't really do a great job of continuing drives, I mean, you kind of give them a tough situation to be in when they're consistently on the field. So while that is, yeah. You never know with these red Big Ten schools when it comes to Rutgers and Maryland and used to be Indiana, but you never really know. I mean, Miami of Ohio is going to put up as best of a fight as they can, but we hope that Kaliakmanis is going to have a shootout and be home by 6.
Luke Fickell at Wisconsin is a name to watch this year. If he loses to Middle Tennessee State this weekend, that seat's going to be red hot. I think he will at least survive this week and beat the Blue Raiders. Then they'll have a matchup with Alabama down the road, but this week they should be fine.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee State, they got a couple of Italian stallions running that quarterback position. So if the Italian stallions they can get out firing on them, hey, maybe. But I mean, they lost to Austin Peay last week, so I'm not really. Yeah, they got blown out by Austin Peay too, so that's not a great look for them. But hey, the Italians, if they come out firing, I would not be upset if Wisconsin could not this week.
I mean, yeah, the only thing that Wisconsin has is the fact that, they might have to play their backup quarterback, but that just means they're going to run the heck out of the ball. And for Middle Tennessee, that's not necessarily the bread and butter of stopping the run. So when it comes to Wisconsin, it's just, let's just show our muscle here. Let's show who we are. Let's get back to Wisconsin football. I feel like they've tried to get cute and want to be an air raid the last 2 seasons for some strange reason. I don't know. It could be, the fact that college football is back, NCAA football is back. So now all of a sudden, they want to have cute statistics all over I don't know. Who knows? But, I assume that this game is going to be an old school Wisconsin game where we're going to run the ball at least like 30 times and just show our muscle, show who we are, and try to, get a week where we could save our quarterbacks, get our quarterbacks back healthy, and then, try to have a better depth, better whatever for when it comes to conference play.
All right. We actually have 2 interesting games in the nightcap. We'll start where College Game Day is going to be, which it should be at Kansas, Missouri, but it's at Michigan, at Oklahoma. This is the big one. I mean, Michigan, Bryce Underwood looked decent against New Mexico. But going to Oklahoma, and let's be honest, Oklahoma needs to have a good year this year. This is going to be the true test, much like we talked about how Mark Gronowski, it doesn't matter what he does against UAlbany. What he does against Iowa State is going to dictate 100% the narrative. No one's going to remember the New Mexico game, whether he was good or bad, and he was somewhere in the middle. If he goes to Norman and gets a win, oh boy, look out. He could be the freshman everyone talks about. If he goes to Norman and looks like an 18-year-old playing on the road, Michigan might be in for a similar season as last year, just with a little lighter schedule. This is one to keep an eye out for. Oklahoma, it's down to a 4.5-point favorite for Oklahoma. I saw it as high as 6.5, so it's been bouncing either way. What do you guys make of Michigan and Oklahoma?
Yeah, I like what you said about Bryce Underwood being like somewhere in the middle. He got a really strong arm, and he let that thing rip a few times in that game against New Mexico. But yeah, he looked like it was his first start, and he did some good things. He did some typical 18-year-old freshman things. But this test in Oklahoma, like you're going from at home against New Mexico to on the road against a 95, 100,000 seat stadium in Oklahoma, who, with John Mateer coming in at quarterback, threw 3 touchdowns last week against Illinois State. So for a Missouri Valley team, and you got receiver, I can't remember his name, but coming in from Southern Illinois this offseason, he put up a good amount of yards in that game too. So you got two new quarterbacks coming in, and Oklahoma, like they need to get wins where they can take them, because I don't know if you guys looked at the back half of the season for Oklahoma. It is a murderer's row of team. Like I think their last 7 games they played 6 ranked opponents. It's a few of those games are on the road against like LSU, Texas. I know Texas, Dallas, but that's a road game. And the Michigan game, I'm intrigued to see what Underwood does, and it's going to be an interesting game because both head coaches want to play good defense. Michigan's defense is their strong point of this. Brent Venables, obviously a defensive-minded head coach coming from Clemson, but they want to score. Oklahoma want to score. So Michigan trying to rein in John Mateer, who's one of the most exciting quarterbacks in college football. If they're able to rein him in and Bryce Underwood's able to make the throws, and they don't ask him to do too much, try to make too many plays, just control what you can control. Take some dump offs if they're giving it to you. Take some underneath throws if they're giving it to you. You don't need to score a touchdown every play, which I think if you're a 5-star like Bryce Underwood and as good as he is coming out of high school, that can be kind of hard to like tell yourself, hey, I don't need to score a touchdown every play. So if they're able to do that, then I think they can go down Oklahoma and win. But it's going to be, like you said, it's gonna be a fun one. It is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thought process I had as well. Is going to be you're the guy who's the multi-million-dollar guy, and like you said, he played really well. So it's going to be hard to be like, I don't need to put the cape on this game. I can rely on everybody. I can lean on my team as well. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be the biggest nail in the heel is if he comes out and he feels like he has to win the game out the gate, and he has to make the Superman plays and throw for 300 yards. It's like, obviously that would be great, but let's not assume that that's what's needed to win. Obviously, Oklahoma's a great team. They showed that they've been a good team. Like you said, they're one of those teams that needs that kind of has a lot of pressure on them when it comes to this 12-team playoff. They need to be in that. The way that they have been in the history is we've been one of the better teams. So they need to continue to have a good season and fight for one of those spots in the 12-team playoff. So they're itching at any chance to beat a ranked opponent. They want to win this game. And I'm sure they're going to come out and play just like it with their hair on fire, with foam coming out of their mouth. So it's going to be one of those games where, as Bryce Underwood, I need you to just do what you need to do. I need you to just hit who's open. I don't need you to score. Like you said, I don't need you to score every single play. Take your checkdowns when they're there. Throw the ball away if it's not there. But I don't need you to make bonehead plays and try to be the $6 million man and will us to this victory. We have a lot of talent around us. My guy Marlon was playing crazy yesterday. He trains with us down here in Nashville. The tight end from Michigan. He was making a lot of plays yesterday, so I was happy to see that. So just lean on your guys and don't assume you have to do everything for us to win.
2 reasons why I like Oklahoma. It's in Norman, and John Mateer has played a lot more college football than Bryce Underwood. Usually, you lean on experience, and Bryce Underwood will probably be a really good quarterback. Your second college game being at Norman, and it's a homecoming for Sharon Moore. You know what? If he gets the win, I will come on this show next week and I will sing his praises. But I'm probably leaning towards the side of the veteran. Other interesting game on NBC and the Peacock is Boston College coming to Michigan State. Last year, Michigan State had a chance to win this game, and that kind of started a downward trajectory in their season. This feels like kind of a gotta-have-it game for Jonathan Smith, because if you don't get this one, well, how are you going to get a lot in the Big Ten? You get it in East Lansing. The Spartans are a 3.5-point favorite. This is a gotta-have-it game for Michigan State, at least from my perspective.
Well, it's interesting, too, because Boston College has kind of got a new vibe about their offense, because Tommy Castellanos went down to Florida State. We saw what he did against Alabama this past weekend, but they loved using his athleticism for them. They loved getting him out of the pocket, making plays, whether it's throwing the ball outside the pocket or making plays with his legs up the field. And now you got Dylan Lonergan coming in from Alabama, who's nowhere close to the same athlete as Castellanos, but he's more of your sturdy pocket passer, threw 4 touchdowns last weekend. And like you said, this is a big game for Jonathan Smith and Aiden Childs. We talked about him a lot last year. He's got insane amount of talent. It's just a matter of if can you, like we talked about with Bryce Underwood just a little bit ago. It's the can you rein it in a little bit and not try to force the issue because he had a little bit of an interception problem last year. We'd have some moments where he looked really good, i.e., the Iowa game last year, and then there were other games where he would just go in a stretch of turning the ball over. Like it was like if one turnover happens, then there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. And it just kept stacked. So if he can rein that in, and it's at home, like you said, so yeah, I'm intrigued to see what this matchup looks like because I'm excited to see what Aiden Childs does in year two. But yeah, it's how they match up with Boston College's new look offense is going to be interesting as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're looking to, like you said, kind of avenge that loss from last year. And Aiden Childs, threw for 2 or 3 interceptions in the game last year. But you'd like you said, you'd like to see him kind of calm that down. And another guy who was like, just take the check down when it's there. It's okay. We don't need 60 yards every single play. It's okay. It's college football. Sometimes that's not going to happen. These guys, we always say, these guys get paid too. These guys have scholarships too. So it's okay to take the check down and not try to be Superman every play. I know last game he had 2 fumbles. Again, you'd like to see him just take better care of the ball. That's always the added for every football team. We take care of the ball. That's the number one rule is you take care of this ball because this feeds my family as a coach. This feeds you. This feeds me. This feeds all of us. So you want to see them take care of the ball better. And like you said, like Boston College is kind of a complete 180. I think they had, what did they have? They had 98 yards of rushing last game, which is a complete on its head from what they were last year. So I feel like this is definitely going to be a good matchup, a kind of alike teams who like to get the ball in the air. I feel like if Boston College can kind of control the pace of the game, they give themselves a better chance from a team who looks for explosives and has a lot of explosive opportunities. So if they can kind of hold the ball in a sense and keep their foot on their neck and keep their defense on the field, Michigan State's defense on the field, and they give themselves the best chance to come out to victory.
All right, let's rapid fire through these last set of late night games. Akron goes to Nebraska as Patrick Mahomes Jr. will try to get a win at home against the Zips. I'm thinking this one, this one is relegated to TV like number 10.
Let's go Zips.
It would be really fun to see. Georgia Southern out to USC. That's a long way to go. But Logan, as you noted, there's one at least little tidbit of interest in this game.
Yeah, Clay Helton's back. This is they ran him out of town. They got him out there so quick. They hated Clay Helton out there. So and they replaced him with Lincoln Riley. So hey, maybe there's some little salt in the wounds there, some stoking the fire a little bit. Maybe Georgia Southern comes out and wins. I doubt it, but hey, they could have something brewing there for the Trojans.
Yeah. No. I think the most interesting thing that I saw on this one is the fact that Georgia Southern's been in California for like 9 days because they played Fresno last week. So they've just been out in Cali chilling. So I'm like, that must be nice.
So
I mean,
time zone, not a big deal.
Not a big deal when they've just been out there for like 10 days. I mean, go get a dub. Why not?
West,
avenge your coach.
Out west as well, UCLA goes to UNLV. This is actually only a 2.5-point spread because, we were famously mean to UCLA, so that could be an interesting one on CBS Sports Network. That one starts a half hour later. Maybe it's a fun finish. Southern Illinois at Purdue. That's the other $6 entry. And then if you are a real sicko, UC Davis at Washington to round everything out. We'll talk about all these, probably about 4 in particular next week. We'll have our Iowa State preview coming up. Dom, real quick, tell them where all our socials are because I know you've been working hard on that.